But before questions, just want to congratulate two things. David Savard, the career he's had. That guy has been a warrior in this league for a long, long time, and it's an impressive career. That guy lays it on the line, starting his career. I remember in Columbus, winning the Stanley Cup in Tampa Bay. So it was an honor to compete against David Savard, man. That guy ate so many shots and flank one-timers from Ovi. I don't even know how many, and pretty impressive. And also just to the Canadiens organization as a whole and their team, Marty, the path. It's a lot like we went through last year, and it's just been impressive to watch from afar what they've done in the second half of the year with a young team. They obviously have a real bright future with a lot of good young players that are going to have real long, impressive careers in the National Hockey League. And what they did in the second half, and even the way they played through this series, we can get into that in a second, but to me, that wasn't a 4-1 series. I don't know if Marty said that, but we found ways to win some of those games, but they pushed us in every single one of those games, and so huge congratulations to them and their organization, and Marty did a phenomenal job with that team.
Spencer, you and your players all said that this would take the best effort from your group to win this fourth game. Just what did you make of that tonight?
Yeah, it was a weird game. It was a weird game, and you could feel it. We were off early. Felt like it was a little bit of nerves, some touches. We turned it over a couple times in some key situations, and now all of a sudden, even LT's touch early, he gives it right back to him. They're shooting it right at the net. I think we were getting outshot 8-2 or something like that early in the game, and you're like, whew, okay. And then we settle in a little bit, and then we find the goals. Power play was massive tonight. Like we needed to capitalize, and their goaltender played phenomenal, no question. Like we had some really good looks, but we also gave up a ton of good quality looks, and LT had to be good tonight because it never felt comfortable through that game. You still felt like they were getting good looks. They were getting clean entries, finding second wave. Matheson, I remember getting into a good spot, and we get fortunate. We get a block. Like there was a lot of dangerous situations that Montreal put us in tonight, but credit to our guys. We dig in, we block some shots. LT, like I said, was phenomenal. Special team steps up, and we hang on and find a way to grind it out.
Speaking of LT, with the uncertainty around his status entering the series, just how impressive was it what he did tonight and throughout Game 3, obviously? Hiccup there, but just how impressive was he at these 5 games?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, he's a gamer, man. And for him to come back Game 4 and after the way we played as a group in Game 3 and just 2 incredible performances in Game 4 and Game 5. And this time of year, it's such a big part because, like we've talked about, the line is so fine of wins and losses, 1 goal here, 1 goal there. And he's been outstanding in the series in the last 2 games. A big reason why we end up on the right side of that fine line in these 2 games.
Spencer, you talked yesterday some about the growth of this team. What can closing on a series like this and moving on do for the growth of the team as a group?
Yeah, I'm actually. It's something that I was thinking about because I could feel we were tight tonight. We were tight, and it didn't feel comfortable, and you could feel it on the bench. You could see it with some of the decisions, the puck touches. So to get that out of the way, and a lot of people don't think about this, but our organization, we haven't won a series since 2018, which is, how many seasons is that, 7? 7 years it's been since we've won a series, and we've been, good teams. Even post-Cup, there were some great teams, just unfortunate, ran into whatever in the first round and last year and the bubble. So I could feel it tonight. So hopefully getting over that hump, winning the first round, a little bit of a deep breath. We know the opponent that we're going to face in the next round very, very well, very familiar with them. So hopefully we can take a little bit of a deep breath, and now that we get over that hump, because it was, and it's a closeout game too, so you expect to be a little bit, but just felt like we were a little tight tonight.
What did Alex's goal do for you guys early on when you said you were battling nerves a little bit, and just overall his series, 4 goals?
Hey, he was outstanding. The whole series, scoring huge goals. Tonight is a prime example, because when you are tight and you're trying to settle into your game, to get that first goal is huge, and that's exactly what he did. He scored. I thought, I mean, other than he scores in game 3, right? He scored some big goals, I felt like, through this series, and proud of him, because I know it's a long time to sit on last year and last year's playoffs and have to run that through your mind. And I know the chase and him breaking the record, you know, he's long forgotten about the Rangers series and that, but for him to break the record and then be able to reset and refocus, and now, okay, this is what what means more to me than the record, which is amazing in itself. To get himself to the spot where he played this playoffs comparatively to last year, it's night and day. And he's a year older. He's 39 years old. And that's credit to him, man. He just continues to do things that you just can't wrap your head around in this sport, in this league, and at the most difficult time of the year, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Hey, Carbs, you were talking about the first playoff series win in 7 years. You've been a part of this organization before in the minor league level, and you know how much I'm sure it means to the fan base and to the players. So personally, from a personal perspective, to win a playoff series as the head coach here, I mean, how did that feel tonight just for you as an individual?
I'm just very grateful to be a head coach in this league and to coach this franchise. And I said it yesterday, I pinch myself every day. I get to show up to work and coach our group of players for this organization, for great management, great ownership in a city that I love, and to win and to try to do everything I can every day to help the team win and to win a first-round series. Just couldn't be prouder. I'm such a small part of what our guys did over the last couple weeks. So it's pretty humbling and pretty gratifying to be able to win. Like, it's so hard. It's so hard to win in this league. It's like 16 teams. It is so hard to win a playoff series, and just proud of our group.
Spencer, to your right. Just to ask you a little bit about your opponent. Just, you know, I know you had some nice words to say about them, but what did they show you, the Canadiens, in this series, and what do you think they showed the rest of the NHL with their group?
Okay, so one of the things that top line and what Lane Hudson has become this year, that's big time stuff in this league, and what they're able to do 5-on-5. And you have to, as an opposing coach, I remember this when I was in Toronto against Tampa Bay with Kucherov and Point, and at that time they had like a mix of who they were playing on the wing. But you would have to set a whole game plan against that line, and when they got over it, and it was, I remember this is something maybe interesting for when you're on the bench. You're just constantly, you've got coaches, you've got players that are, is Kucherov, is it Kucherov, is a Point, like trying to figure out who's coming out. It's the same way with Suzuki. It's the same way, and that's the ultimate compliment I can pay, though. I understand the team, I'll get to that in a sec, but those guys have gotten to that level 5-on-5 where you have to be ready for them, and you have to pre-scout against them, and you got to match up against, or else they're going to make you pay. And they're so young. So now you're just imagining, I don't even want to go to that place, but the next 10 years of having to deal with that. And then I just think they have a good complement of, like Montembeault, him being out obviously hurts the team. He was phenomenal early in the series, but then they also have these guys, Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher, and I know everybody's talked about Christian Dvorak and Joel Armia. So they've got this blend of some veteran, hard, heavy, know what it takes, and know the style of play that's required this time of year to go along with those young, skilled players that are, every time you're out on the ice, you have to be aware of them. So it's a good mix and it's a good blend. And then you've got the Demidov kid coming that, I didn't want to say this in the time because I was like, it's going to burn me the second I talk about him and being so young and in the league. He's going to have 3-1 and I'm going to look like a fool in one of these games. But him and Lenny are very much in a similar spot. It's so hard. Like they're trying to get through shifts, 5-on-5 power play. He was excellent playing on that top unit. It's so hard 5-on-5 to do the things. Now those guys are going to have incredible careers, but it is a lot to throw him into a playoff series. No different than it is for Ryan Leonard. And those, we were trying to go through this, like when are the last guys to come in late in the season, like right at the end of the year, and have an impact in the Stanley Cup playoffs? We're going back to like Kreider or like, Cale Makar. Yeah, and that's, you're right. You're spot on of like, it's not an easy league, and especially this time of year for guys that, whether they're coming out of college or coming from the KHL, it's a handful. And so, long-winded way of saying that they have a bright future of this in their future for the Montreal Canadiens.
Time for 2 more questions. Spencer, you said it didn't feel like a 4-1 series because of how each game was played. But what about your team? Like, you were never not in control of it either. Like the shift-to-shift mentality, the stuff you learned about them during the year, that had to make an imprint on the series as a whole and a reason why you won it.
Like our group of getting through it, for sure. And that I think is what we leaned on through the series of, even though things might get a little bit dicey and we might be trailing in game 4, we might be not playing as well as we would like to, and we're giving up too much or whatever it might be. We're battle tested and have been through it, and that's, I mean, if you write a story about our team and the regular season and where we're going, it's we've been through and found ways to win games. Our analytics aren't the best in the league. Okay, we got no players at the Four Nations. Our leading scorer is Dylan Strome at 80 points. Like, we're not gonna. No one goes. But what we do is we find ways to win because we have a group that's committed and we're deep and we play with 4 lines and we play with 3 sets of D and we have 2 goaltenders, and that's we find ways to win games, and that's what our group has done a great job of since day one.
All right, last one, Sean.
You're good.
So Dubois sets up Chychrun on the second goal. You get big play from Logan again. Duham in the fourth line, win their minutes. He's out there at 5-on-6 and salts it away. Those are all guys who weren't here last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious how those guys have helped change the math for your group year over year.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, Dewey, great tonight. Chychrun scores a massive goal. Dubois sets it up. It's a hell of a play to get us up to. And those guys, Logan Thompson, like, that's the other part. What has changed? So, one games, we find ways to win, but you also need a certain level of players that we were able to acquire and bring in. And that's a credit to our management and what they did in the offseason. And there's been stories written about it, the 10 days in July or whatever it is, of who they were able to acquire and the moves they were able to make. And that, puts us in the spot we are today with Jacob Chychrun, like you just mentioned, Logan Thompson, Brandon Duham, go down the list, Pierre Dubois trade. So those guys have their handprints all over where we are today.
Sorry, I know you just gave me like 4 minutes on the team I covered, but I just have one more for you. Kind of halfway through the series, their power play changed pretty drastically. You had Patrick Laine on the left circle, gets replaced by the kid Demidov. How did, for you, trying to break that power play down and defend it?
Yeah.
How did that change what you were doing, or change what you had to do?
Yeah. So the one thing that it changes for me is when Demidov goes there, because Montreal, and I've watched their power play for a lot of years since I was in Toronto, is Nick Suzuki attacking downhill as a right stick has been like a staple for years, right? And there's a little bit of movement. But that, if they ask what their normal set is, it's Suzuki downhill, forehand, seam pass to Caulfield, and interchangeable parts. Slavkovsky, okay, and whoever was up top before Hudson comes, okay? But that's been the formation that's been there for years, or for a few years. So now it flips when Suzuki goes into the bumper. What they use a lot is that little play into Suzuki as a shooter, and that changes. You got to respect both one-timers, so it's not a right shot coming down the downhill like it's Suzuki. It's one-timer, and then Suzuki's a good shot threat. He didn't end up scoring in this series in there, but he had a couple really good looks in that bumper, and that. And it's funny, we were looking at they basically have 5 options that they go to. Suzuki will drop off to the goal line if they want to switch sides. But that Suzuki one-timer sort of makes everybody have to go, we got to leave Caulfield a little bit, we got to leave Demidov. And then when you're trying to cover up, it's like plugging holes. You've only got so many holes you can plug, and it's how Caulfield gets a lot of, I think he had like a crazy amount of shot attempts from that flank in the series. And so that's what changed. When Demidov went there and Suzuki goes into the bumper, you really have to do a job on that bumper play they run to Suzuki is essentially, and we were fortunate. Like, he had a couple looks. He doesn't end up scoring on him. Felt like we did a great job tonight. Obviously through the series, they were ripping at, 30-something%. And tonight, our special teams arguably is the difference in the game.